Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Léon, the Professional, an action film from 1994. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie yet, it's available to stream on Stars or to rent or buy on all the major streaming services. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot.
Welcome back to another great episode of Screenwrite. I'm Justin, and I'm joined with co-hosts Eddie, Kyle, and John. And like Eddie said in the introduction, today we're taking a look at the Wildcard pick, Léon, the Professional. I like the way you said Léon.
Léon.
Which is an action flick from 1994. I probably will not be saying it in that French accent the entire time.
No, especially since it's very strange that it's a French director, French-ish title, French actor playing the main character, and then, by the way, he's Italian.
He's Italian, yeah.
He's supposed to be Italian.
Everything's in Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is Léon the Professional about? So, Mathilda, played by Natalie Portman, is only 12 years old, but is already familiar with the dark side of life. Her abusive father stores drugs for corrupt police officers, and her stepmother neglects her. Léon, played by Reno, is a hitman that lives down the hall and works for Tony, a mob boss played by Danny Aiello. When Mathilda's family is murdered by crooked DEA agent Stansfield, played by Gary Oldman, she joins forces with the reluctant Léon to learn his deadly trade and avenge her little brother's death.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the performance of a lifetime from Gary Oldman.
It's okay. I actually like Gary Oldman in this.
I do too.
He's a good baddie.
He's very eccentric.
Where he screams at everything.
Yeah, but he's a good baddie. He's a good. He plays crazy pretty well. So.
Yeah.
So Léon the Professional is 1 hour and 50 minutes long, rated R, and was written and directed by Luc Besson.
Unless you watched the version we watched. Yeah.
Which I'm going to get to.
Yeah.
Because it confused me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was written and directed by Luc Besson. So if you're unfamiliar with Mr. Besson's work, he did Nikita in 1990, obviously this in 1994, The Fifth Element in 1997, The Messenger, The Story of Joan of Arc, which is a fantastic movie if you've never seen it, from 1999.
Also Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich. And Lucy from 2014, which I've never seen. I don't really care to.
It was okay.
But he's also written a bunch of stuff behind the scenes for people. Like he's written the Taken series, and he wrote the Transporter series.
Oh, I didn't know that about Transporter. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Does it?
Yeah.
He has a very unique set of skills.
Yeah.
Writing skills, apparently.
And you didn't name one of my favorite movies by him, though. From the 80s. It's called. It actually has Jean Reno in it as well. It's called The Big Blue. And it's a free diving movie that is very hard to explain. It's mostly just a beautiful movie, like the scenery, the ocean scenes, etc. are pretty. And then the main character thinks he's a dolphin. Other than that, it's pretty out there movie, but it's I don't know. I like it. I watched it when I was a kid, and it stuck with me.
Yeah. You said that Jean Reno is in that. Well, he's almost in every Luc Besson movie.
Yep, except the Fifth Element for some reason.
You're right. Yeah. Is he in The Messenger?
I think he is. I believe he is. I'm not sure.
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
But so for Oscars for this was definitely not an Oscar bait movie. So it wasn't nominated for anything. It's just kind of like an action flick kind of thing, with some sketchy scenes thrown in the middle. So let's address the title.
Yep.
The whole thing here. So when I was first talking about this movie with somebody, I mentioned, it's called Léon the Professional, and then somebody said, no, it's called The Professional. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's called Léon the Professional. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up on IMDb, looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb says Léon the Professional. Rotten Tomatoes says The Professional. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, one says 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that, and another one says an hour 50. So okay, what's the difference? Finally, after doing like a lot of research here, so the original cut of the film, which is the one that we all watched, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Which was 2 hours and 15 minutes, I believe. It includes a lot of awkward sexual tensions between Mathilda and Léon, right?
Yeah.
The American test audiences saw that version, and apparently, according to Besson, that the audience was super uncomfortable, like visually uncomfortable about it. So and apparently they also laughed when Mathilda asked Léon to be her lover.
Which I don't get, by the way. I don't understand laughing. Like, I understand being uncomfortable.
I think it was uncomfortable laughing.
Yeah, I get it. But laughter, I don't... I'm not like, pedophilia. That doesn't happen. Like,
No.
ever. That's never happened. You know what I mean?
No.
So that's a weird response to that
Yeah.
situation, that scene. So,
Yeah.
Maybe in a group, the group dynamic might be different. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
that's a large maybe at that point, but yeah, go ahead.
But apparently, obviously, that wasn't the tone that they were wanting to go for. So they cut it out, and they released the American version, which is called The Professional, and it's 1 hour and 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
The European cut has all of those sexual tension scenes. Then it's called Léon the Professional.
Well, it's funny. It's actually just called Léon.
Léon. That was the original working title.
Yeah. But like the one I watched anyway, I guess I'm assuming it's the same one you guys watched. It just says Léon. It never says The Professional at the beginning.
No, it says The Professional.
Oh, so you guys saw?
Yes.
Oh, see, I have the one that just says Léon. I don't even have one that says The Professional
I don't
on
remember. I don't remember the film we watched saying The Professional in it.
Mine literally said Léon in huge letters all the way across the screen.
Okay, I could have swore it said The Professional, but we'll have to take a look back at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was basically the distinction between the two.
Yeah.
And then they made some different cuts. Like, they made an international cut, and they threw the scenes back in.
Yeah.
And basically, if you were to go buy this on Blu-ray right now, you'd be purchasing the international cut, and that is the cut that you would see.
Gotcha.
Stuff with all the weird scenes in it.
Yeah.
Well, the weird scenes, I think, definitely changed the movie quite a bit. When I was a kid, when I watched this when I was a teenager, I watched the American version. I watched The Professional, right? I don't remember... I'm going to say two things about this. One, I don't remember those scenes. Two, had they been there, I probably wouldn't have caught up exactly what was taking place. Because it's kind of subtle. There's the one part where she's like, will you sleep with me? But it's done in such a weird, childish way, because she's 12 and she's a child, that I probably wouldn't have thought she was being serious. I would have thought that, it would have gone over my head. You know what I mean? Now when I watch it, I'm like, okay, it's uncomfortable, but there's three main reasons why I think it's taking place. You know what I mean? And the largest reason being she's super damaged. She's super, super damaged. She lived with a drug dealing dad, a whore for a stepmom is what we assume anyway. She's a prostitute. And then her older sister fucking hates her, would rather she be dead, etc. The only person nice to her in this entire kid's whole life is literally her little brother. And then the guy down the hall is not really nice to her, just not mean to her.
Just not mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then when the little kid gets killed, he's the only thing she has left in the world to attach any kind of love to. And then because her vision of love, which is step 2 here, is so skewed because her stepmother's a whore, she's going to show love to him in the only way, quote unquote, she understands to show it. But then you have step 3, which is her understanding of that love is so childish still because she's a child. She thinks it's a game. Like when the dress up scene where she's doing like a virgin and all that stuff. Right. She thinks like, oh, I'm just gonna have sex. It's gonna be fine. It'll be like a game. She doesn't understand the gravity of what she's doing. I don't think she gets it. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree.
That
was a very. I mean, all of those scenes when they're getting very intimate, or she's trying to become.
She's trying to be intimate.
Yeah, he has like no part of it at all.
No.
And those were just like, okay, it's
awkward,
really awkward,
and
kind of hard to watch, because it's like I don't want to watch this. This is bad. What the hell did Eddy choose again? Like what the heck?
But again, I like the damaged aspect. I think that it makes the movie deeper. Because had he acted, I think it would be I wouldn't want to watch it.
I would have stopped it and given it a 0.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it either. But the fact that he's mentally handicapped, he's mentally challenged in some way. We don't know how he's mentally challenged, but he's mentally challenged. He doesn't quite pick up on what's happening either. He gets it, but he doesn't.
He gets it, and he's like, no, this is wrong. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to do here.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't understand we know what she's trying to do.
Well,
but
well, I think it's not necessarily he doesn't know, like, at all, but he's like, I don't know what game you're playing. Like, you're playing something. I don't know what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get me caught? Are you trying to lure me into some sort of freaked out world? Like, what are you trying to do here? was this whole murder of the family scene, or was this whole family like a ploy just to get me out and about to like lure out the assassin?
What I liked about that, especially right after the murder, was him trying to decide, was he going to take care of her, was he going to help her, or was he going to kill her? Mm-hmm. That scene where he takes the gun out and almost shoots her in the head and then walks away, that's a crazy, tense scene. You know, I mean, by all accounts, he could have just killed her.
Well,
but
because
he has his rule, right? No women, no kids.
If it
wasn't for that, she'd be dead.
Yeah, because he was like, yeah, here's a gun, here's some bullets. Like,
he doesn't want anything to do with it because, it's going to mess up his routine and just throw a thorn in his side and all.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts though. I don't know. That part in particular is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Beyond the relationship with Mathilda, which is 80% of this movie, I get that. What did you guys think about the action scenes? Because you've never seen this, right?
I had actually seen like the last part of it when they were in the hotel. I guess you would say it was a hotel.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
or like a apartment.
Yeah.
Like a long stay apartment or something like that.
Yeah, the last apartment that they're in, because they're in 3 apartments total. His original one, the hotel where she tells the front desk guy that he's her lover, and then the last hotel, the last apartment thing. Yeah.
Which that part, when she told the concierge guy or whatever, she's like, "No, he's not my dad. He's my lover." I was thinking, "Oh my god, what are you doing?"
Yeah, she brings so much attention to herself in the situation. And
the whole point of his game and the whole point of his livelihood is to stay under the radar as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So nobody actually suspects that he's an assassin, hitman.
Yeah.
He's like, I have my plant, I have my guns, and I have my skills,
and I have my milk.
And that's all.
But see, bringing that part up in particular, she's trying to manipulate the situation and manipulate Léon the entire movie.
Yeah,
the entire movie. And when she meets Danny Aiello's character Tony, he's taking care of him, because John and I talked about this briefly. He's definitely taking care of Léon. He's helping him.
So?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He knows Leon's mentally handicapped.
I think he's pocketing the money.
He's not.
I think he is too, because at the very end, he's like, there's a lot of money, but you might as well keep it with me because I'm like a bank. And I'm like, he doesn't have the money.
No, yeah.
No, see, I think he does.
He doesn't have the money.
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does. He's just looking at Natalie Portman's Mathilda being 12 and then Léon being mentally handicapped. I think he looks at both of them and goes, neither one of these people can actually take care of themselves. I'm going to take care of them and then dole it out the way that I know that they'll be okay doing it.
Oh, it's interesting because I guess you and I saw a completely different perspective from Danielle.
Now, when he was talking to Léon, I was thinking, okay, well, that might be true, just because he's out all the time. There's no need for him to pocket all this cash. Mm-hmm. It would make he would have to open up a bank or actually travel with the money, and money gets heavy.
Sure.
Because if he's $5,000 ahead, it gets heavy, if it's all paid in cash.
Which is about $9,100 today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I was curious.
Oh, okay.
Not that you're trying to hire someone to kill somebody else or anything.
I mean, I work for free on myself.
So it's almost doubled since 1994. Interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But no, I got the feeling, I was confused at first. I was like, okay, Tony's got to be taking this guy for a ride. There is no money.
Yeah.
Type thing. But then whenever throughout the course of the film, I'm like, okay, there's something mentally wrong with Léon. I'm like, okay, he's not reacting to situations the way I think that somebody would react to situations, and then he's very repetitive in his actions, like every morning with the plant, every night with the plant, it's all clockwork, it's all planned, and everything he does is very purposeful, and that's typically what happens with a high functioning autistic person, is they have a plan for the day, and that is what they stick to.
Well, because it's interesting you guys bring up the mentally handicapped thing, because according to Jean Reno, he decided to play Léon as if he were a little mentally slow and emotionally repressed. He felt that this would make audiences relax and realize that he wasn't someone who would take advantage of a vulnerable young girl. Reno claims that for Léon, the possibility of a physical relationship with Mathilda is not even conceivable, and as such, during the scenes when such a relationship is discussed, Reno very much allowed Portman to be emotionally in control of the scenes.
Well, I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
Like, to me, she's in control the whole fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, she's like manipulating him.
Yeah, which is why I think when she meets Tony, they butt heads. Because he's like, well, what is this, Léon? Like, what's going on here? And she's like, what do you mean? We're just, he's taking care of me, etc. And then Tony kind of acquiesces and is like, okay, well, he's obviously, there's something here. I don't want to pressure Léon into, like, devolving worse. So, okay, but this better stay as like a professional relationship. And I don't think he means that. Like, I don't think he was thinking it would devolve into sexual things, but that she could be his downfall, the way that the girl that was in Italy was his downfall.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
Not so much from a sexual point, but just from like you're saying, like she's outing him all over town.
Which
he's trying to keep a low profile, and she's like, by the way, killer over here,
Which-
pedophile killer.
she was his downfall.
You're right.
Well, yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, his woman that he loved in Italy, her dad killed her. He killed the dad, escaped to America, and then what happens here?
Yeah.
He ends up taking care of this little girl, and she gets kidnapped, and he goes after those people and ends up dying himself.
Yeah, the DEA agents. Yeah, you said police earlier. They're DEA. They're dirty DEA agents.
Oh, well, they worked in the
I know
police agencies, and anyway.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
But the thing that I thought was kind of interesting was he didn't really say this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had the rules of no women and children,
Yes.
obviously. But he also has another unwritten rule: is never kill for revenge.
yeah.
Well,
But you only kill for money.
But then he did kill for revenge.
Yep.
And
His first one.
this is what happened.
Yeah. He
Well,
broke.
that's why he learned that rule.
He broke his own rules a bunch.
Yeah, well, he broke it again, and that's what caused. Oh gosh, what's his name? The DEA agent.
Stansfield.
No, the
Oldman.
main guy. Oldman. Gary Oldman.
Stansfield.
Is that his name,
okay,
Stansfield?
sorry. I don't know these names. I don't
So-
really pay attention to
Gary
these
Oldman.
names. Gary Oldman.
So I don't want to.
I only half watched the movie.
Well,
I can't listen. I can't keep the name straight either.
They
so
don't-
you're-
No, I can't either. That's why I write them all down.
they don't really say his name too much, so it's kind of.
Yeah, they say it a couple of times. You're right.
But that's what causes him to track him.
So there's even a deeper piece to this, and I'm not trying to mansplain it. So don't do it to me. I'm not. Damn it. What I was gonna say was, before he meets Mathilda, he's not really human.
Yeah,
if you think
true.
about it, right?
Yeah.
He, like John's saying, he's in this routine. He's his best friend is a plant.
Yeah.
Like that's his best friend
Because
That's-
it doesn't talk and it doesn't grow roots.
It's simple. It's
Never
very
abandons him.
exactly. His best friend's a plant. He meets Mathilda and actually starts to come alive. And when he sends her down that chute and he says, "I love you, I love you, I love you," he's I mean, you could take it as he's saying like "I love you" romantically. I don't think he is. I think he's saying it. I think he's saying it like a father or like a brother or something.
I think part of him also knows that this is the end.
Yes.
And most likely going to be the end, and he wants her to know that somebody in this world loved her,
cared about her. Yeah,
and
I
cared
agree with
about
you.
her.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I mean, there's a lot of depth to his character, and his character arc is immense because, like you're saying, he broke his own rules. Well, that was really symbolic of him breaking his rules of not being from being dead as a human essentially to starting to love Mathilda, starting to care about somebody, et cetera, and then moving all the way through to, you know what, fuck it, the rules don't even matter that much anymore. The only one he maintained was no women, no kids.
Right.
Everything else was kind of out the window. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of that's a huge character arc. I mean, we have somebody who goes from essentially not being human to being human by the end. Most of the time you see they're kind of a dick to now they're a nice person.
Right.
They don't love anybody, now they love somebody. This is essentially someone who didn't exist and now is a person. That's
another part that started
huge character
freaking me
arc.
out was when he got the case from the guy who always gives him the jobs.
Danny Aiello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gives him the sniper case, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then they're on top of a building, and then here comes a politician, and I'm like, is she going to kill a politician?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
they make it seem like she's...
What is going on?
And how involved in that scene were you?
I was like,
Dude, you can't
this
turn
is-
away.
This is not
You
happening.
can't turn away from that scene. I've watched this movie no less than 10
This is
times.
not
and
happening.
that scene in particular,
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit. she's gonna shoot him, and then she pulls the trigger, and you're like, paintball.
Oh,
yeah.
I love how the Secret Service or whatever
They jump on him.
jump all over him. And,
Yeah.
He's like, I'm okay, guys, I'm okay. Yeah,
They're all like looking for snipers and stuff.
yeah. Oh man,
Was that supposed to be like the mayor or
It's
governor?
it doesn't
It's
fucking
just-
matter.
it doesn't
just
matter,
a politician.
A politician or something like that getting out the window or the limo.
Yeah. Cute, indistinct politician is basically who he is.
Yeah.
That's what it says in the credits.
Does it really?
No.
Undisclosed politician.
That would be funny too. But yeah,
Since we're talking about Gary Oldman, Stansfield, what do you guys think about his acting in this?
Phenomenal.
I fucking loved it.
I liked it because he
Yeah.
totally turns the switch whenever he eats those pills.
okay. So
so-
I don't like the pills that much, but there's a reason why. But go ahead.
It almost
Justin,
is
sorry.
like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
It's too fast. As soon as he pops it in his mouth and he cracks it, he's like, green guy. Hulk."
yeah, he is hulking
It's
out.
too fast.
However, as someone who used to
Smoke weed
no.
every day.
no, as someone who used to dip, right?
Okay,
or,
yeah.
chewing tobacco or whatnot, nicotine can get in your system like that
Okay.
and make you sick.
So maybe they're
So-
really fast acting pills.
I mean, I don't even know what the hell they are.
So I looked it up.
Okay,
okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so the green and yellow pills that Stansfield takes are Librium.
Oh shit.
So it's a sedative and a hypnotic medication of the benzodiazepine class. It's the same as Valium, basically.
Okay.
So it's used to treat anxiety, insomnia, and withdrawal symptoms from alcohol and drug abuse.
Okay, that's not the way he acted though. He acted like they were some kind of like
Crazy pills.
Like-
yeah, like they were mushrooms or something. Like
Well, yeah,
he's taking them. He's
it's
like,
Cocaine or something.
Well, it's like Valium. Yeah, it
it's-
desensitizes
yeah,
him.
It desensitizes him, so he does that, and then he feels good, and then
oh, he can do whatever he
Then you
wants.
can do whatever.
mellows
Yeah,
out,
it
yeah, so
doesn't
he
affect him
okay.
mentally.
Oh, so it's like sociopath pills. Like it allows
That's
him
why I
to
said it's
become a
crazy
sociopath.
pills.
Okay, okay.
so you
I
can
gotcha.
actually listen to Beethoven in your head
all the time.
all the time.
Which,
you like Mozart?
Love Beethoven.
it's kind of interesting. Actually, I saw something about that too. Like the whole Beethoven stuff that Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman. Why do I
Yeah.
keep saying
I don't
Oldman?
know.
Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile.
Gary
Gary
Oldsmobile. man.
Oldsmobile.
Yeah, my dad was a Buick. Go ahead.
Gary Oldsmobile.
John Renault.
John
Renault.
It's
Yes, yes.
R-E-N-E. Anyway. Go ahead.
Anyway, so Gary Oldman, that was all improvised.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that
with
was
him and
not
Beethoven?
scripted. Yeah,
Oh,
the whole his whole scripted thing there, all improvised, and they shot it like I think he said like 4 or 5 times, and he came up with a different story like on the spot
Each time.
each time.
Wow.
So there was a thing I saw that Natalie Portman was kept away from Gary Oldman, by the way, most of the time.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
She probably was afraid of him.
Well, her parents were afraid that because of the way he was acting, that he was going to freak her out.
Well,
So they
it
kept her
makes
away
sense.
from him more than
Well,
more than
good.
anybody else on the shoot.
That would have been good.
You know, it's also interesting. Speaking of her parents,
Yeah.
they had like a lot of clout in this movie for some reason.
Well,
And
I
I'm not
would-
sure why.
Well,
I mean, it's one of the stars
The-
of the movie, I guess. But
well, the script was kind of interesting, I guess.
Yeah, they were allowed to like keep child welfare type stuff. They were allowed to keep tabs on her. So
they had demands like they didn't like smoking, so they had demands that there could only be 5 smoking scenes. That that Mathilda would never be seen with a cigarette in her mouth, or at least taking a drag, and something else.
she doesn't. Yeah, it's
Nah,
one thing
she
you
doesn't.
notice whenever you think back on it. She never smokes it. She just is holding it constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was like 3 or 4 other things too that apparently they had control over, and
Yeah.
they kept it in the movie and all. I
That's
mean,
crazy.
like, apparently Natalie Portman tried out when she was 11 years old, and she beat out around 2,000 other kids
Well, it's Natalie
for
Portman.
this role. Well, this was her first
Yeah,
role,
but
so
it's
she
Natalie
was
Portman.
unknown.
No, but I'm saying,
But-
but she became Natalie Portman, who's not a bad actress.
Yeah, she was actually turned down the first
Oh no way.
tryout or audition. That's
Do
what
we
I was
know
looking for.
who beat her? Was it Mayim Bialik?
No. She was just turned down. They were looking at Liv Tyler actually.
Wow.
Okay. Not bad.
But they considered her too old because I think she was like 15 at the time
Yeah,
of
she
the
looked-
audition.
and she looked 19.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And somebody else that I can't think of right now off the top of my head. But then they decided to give her a second go around, and the scene that she picked to audition with was the scene where she's going to meet Leon in his apartment to get him to open the door.
Yeah, and she's crying outside the door. Yeah.
She learned how to cry on cue, and that sold the role to
that scene there was probably her best scene, hands down, to me anyway.
There's a couple, I think.
Because when she was walking up the stairs and then she sees all these people and she's like very calmly like looking and she sees her stepdad or wherever he is to her dead on the floor, and then she's like, okay, so keep it cool, and then she rings the doorbell. And then she's starting to really freak out. And you could actually see from, okay, this is going to be okay because he's going to open the door, to, holy shit, I'm going to die if he doesn't open the door, like within 30 seconds. And it was like, that's really good for a child actor.
So there's two things happening in that scene. There's three things really happening in that scene. One of them is Natalie Portman's acting, right? No, don't even do it to me, John. So there's...
It sounds like a mansplaining.
It's not, damn it. I'm just saying, I'm praising three things happening in that scene.
That I didn't see?
No, you saw them. I'm just pointing them out.
Okay.
There's Natalie Portman's acting.
Yeah.
The cinematography in that scene is fucking fantastic.
I was going to mention
the tracking
It's
or the
so
dolly
fantastic.
shot with her like walking towards the camera.
Well, not just that, but
And
when the door opens,
and the light
there's a
hits
bloom
her.
of light that comes through. Like a guardian, angel thing.
The guardian angel thing, and it's like, oh my god! And then the music.
Yes.
There's this like high pitched warble thing,
and it ramps up too as
exactly.
it's getting more and more tense
as the guy starts to walk away from the door. It's so freaking powerful that it's hard for that not to be one of the better scenes, because they're like, this is going to be a key point.
It kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight when it was that one Japanese instrument that Hans Zimmer was like fascinated about.
And it makes like a sizzle sound.
Well, it's almost like a violin sound or something like that, but it's one of those things where it can continue to be played, but they can actually manipulate it in a way that it sounds like it's going higher.
Yep.
But it's not, and it's awesome.
The scene in China whenever he goes to get the Asian guy who runs with the money. They're playing it the whole damn once the heist part of trying to get the guy actually happens, they're playing it the whole time with Batman in that scene in the Dark Knight.
Well,
you're talking about.
The Dark Knight. Well, this one was when we saw it, or I guess for the first time, it was with the Joker about the bank heist.
Yeah, the bank. Well, same thing. Yeah, they're doing it that every time there's like a real tense part, he's playing the hell out of it. Yeah,
yeah. But that scene kind of reminded me of that sound. Anyways, I can't really recall it.
It's a Christopher Nolan sound.
It's a Koto.
Koto.
Yeah,
okay.
Koto. That's definitely a Christopher Nolan sound too.
Yeah.
Just like Dunkirk, he's probably using the shit out of it in that because it sounds like that too.
It's just a constant rise of tension that seems to never release.
Yeah,
is what it does.
Yeah. There's 3 or 4 scenes easy in this movie that I'm like completely just. I mean the Jean Reno walking out of the building at the end when he's injured and he's wearing the gas mask and we know that Oldman is waiting for him somewhere, and then as he starts to get in and the light hits his face and he thinks he's made it. And
you see this like soft like blip of light too when he gets shot, which is kind of interesting
and starts to go down.
It's almost it's like the camera changed to a POV shot, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
And then the music, the piano, ding, ding,
like his life is going away,
ding, and he drops
and
down.
it gets bloomed out. And
it's just all like I said, I'm going back to your awards thing you do every show. Most movies that we do, I'm like, like of course, like Dunkirk, of course it's made to be for those awards.
Well, that's why I said it's Oscar bait. I said this wasn't Oscar bait,
and yet it should have been. It should have made those lists. If you think about, I mean, the Oscars love things that are weird.
Did you see what was in '94?
No, I did not. I forgot to look it up.
Forrest Gump's going to be in there. Forrest Gump came up.
Jenna.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I don't know. It just bugs me because there's so many good things happening in this movie.
Could be 95.
And granted, the pedophilia thing would be off-putting, but at the same time, the Oscars love shit like that.
But,
so why not
that's
run
the
with
thing,
it?
Though it didn't run that way for the
for
Oscars.
Americans. You're right.
In fact, I always look at Roger Ebert. Well, I can't reference Roger Ebert's review
because he watched the American one.
Exactly, he watched The Professional. He did not watch Leon, The Professional.
Gotcha.
Or Léon.
Okay, so this one, I totally get why this wasn't even considered to be a pick.
Let's hear it.
Because of Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Right. Well, there's 4 weddings and a funeral. Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Quiz Show. And Shawshank Redemption.
Well, there you go.
Those were the best pictures.
I'm like,
so Shawshank, Pulp Fiction, and Jenny. Forrest Gump are going to be hard.
Forrest Gump was the winner of that. Forrest Gump just mopped the floor.
Yeah, but cinematography. I feel like it should have at least gotten a nomination for cinematography.
Cinematography was Legends of the Fall, Forrest Gump, Red, Shawshank Redemption,
Red?
and Wyatt Earp.
Red 1994.
Okay, so Wyatt Earp's good. It's a good movie. I don't think about it in terms of cinematography.
Legends of the Fall got cinematography.
Yeah, I can see Legends of the Fall getting that.
Can you really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty. It's a pretty movie, but I wouldn't say that it was doing anything interesting with cinematography.
Well, that's what I was going off. Just it looks beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
well, that and Brad Pitt's hair. I mean, it's majestic
flowing.
and flowing in that movie. So
Yeah, I mean, to be a
the carpets match the
cinematography
drapes.
a cinematography nominee, I mean, you really have to have some really like vast shots. Like,
See, I don't want vast necessarily. I want interesting.
well, I don't know. It all depends on like, I don't know, the color and just what actually matches the eye. But this one, it was mainly shot in buildings.
It was, but I mean, I don't know. I think they did a lot of interesting things with
And
what
nasty
they had.
looking buildings.
Yeah, nasty looking buildings.
Well, okay, so besides the nastiness,
94 Brooklyn.
But that's set decoration, or that's
well, that's true too. But besides the nastiness of the buildings, did you notice the coloring of the movie, like how washed out it looked most of the time?
It looked like Soviet Russia.
Yeah, it's done for the heat aspect. They Luc Besson was saying something about how like the heat piece of it would essentially make the characters feel like they were like it was like they were going crazy from the heat, if that makes sense, and like they were in this constant heat. So the only time that it doesn't really look like that is whenever Léon and Mathilda are in their like happy world or their happy place. Other than that, it's washed out. And I mean, every scene with Gary Oldman, it's overexposed pretty much the entire time, and they're sweaty as fuck. Like everyone's sweating constantly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's I don't know.
Must have been a hot time in New York City.
Well, they made a comment about it being a heat wave. It's a goddamn heat wave in New York. Like they made this whole conversation about it in the movie.
I did like the scene though when he started busting out the fan with the axe.
Yeah,
That was pretty
to
cool.
get Mathilda out. Yeah,
That was pretty neat.
That and the scene right before that where he's hanging out above the door frame.
Oh yeah,
It's funny because you're watching him work out the whole movie doing those sit-ups.
You just think he's trying to.
You think he's just
fit.
working? Well,
Yeah.
because I mean, how often do we see like workout scenes in movies and we're like, oh, he might do running or something? No, the way he
clever.
fights back those guys is by doing reverse sit-ups. I'm
Yep.
like, that's pretty
well, and then
done.
and then he actually like goes back up.
Goes back up.
I was like, that's pretty cool.
What is that called? I know it's a mechanism. Whenever you see like a gun in the first act, and then the third act they use that gun to go against it. There's a term
There's
for
a
that.
term, but
I can't remember it all of a
I can't
sudden.
remember what it is.
But that's basically what they did with this. I just think it's funny that it's a sit up.
Yeah, it's a callback. It's a callback to.
Yeah, I liked it.
There was a scene that made me laugh, and I had to look it up because I was curious. When towards the beginning, when Gary Oldsmobile is interrogating the father.
Yes.
And he brings him out into the hallway, and he gets like super close up to him, and he's like smelling him, and he's like all over him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all. And that was like, oh, made me all kind of creepy.
Because he can smell a liar.
Yeah, because he's still there.
That's a Gary Oldman plays a creepy bad guy. That's all I could say. I was like,
he's always
oof.
creepy, man.
No, he is, but this movie in particular, I'm like, oof.
Yeah,
It's rough in this one, man.
So that scene was actually improvised by Gary Oldman.
No shit.
Interesting.
It was supposed to be just a couple feet apart conversation.
Huh.
And
Instead of
Gary
he decided
Oldman
to-
just like in one of the takes, he just randomly went up to the guy and started
like hugging him
hugging
and
him
just,
and
Listen here,
smelling him.
it's
and all.
hot. Okay, it's really hot. I'm done doing this goddamn scene.
yeah.
And so the actor who plays Mathilda's father, Michael Badaluca, he basically said he was taken aback by it, and like the look that you see on his face is genuine, like creeped
Fear.
out.
Like,
Creeped out.
what the
Yeah.
heck is he doing?
Nice. What are you trying to do? Get a role as the Joker? Jesus, back
Yeah.
up off me.
So okay, so since I mentioned that scene,
Yeah.
we can't do a Leon the Professional discussion without talking about the everyone meme yell.
Oh yeah.
Everyone. That's true. Yeah.
It's become iconic. I think everyone, even if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen the meme of Gary Oldman yelling at
Yes.
everyone.
And when he did do that, I'm like, that's it.
That's where
Yeah.
it's from.
Yeah,
That's where it's
It's
from.
like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leo, like
Oh,
pointing at the
yeah.
TV, like, oh, I know where that came from.
Well, so I was curious about that too. So apparently he was supposed to just say the line like just normal, like
Sure.
I said everyone, back to the guy. But but apparently, according to Gary Oldman in an interview, he said that he wanted to make the director laugh. So before the scene, right after the guy said action, apparently he motioned to the audio guy to take his headphones off,
like turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, and then he yelled. He said he just yelled as loud as he could at the guy, and of course, it made the director made laugh.
He does the same thing in a lot of his movies. He'll just scream. And he did it in Air Force One when, he couldn't find the president, and he's like, where is he? He's just like yelling at people.
Yeah. I mean, it's on borderline cringe a little bit.
Oh, I didn't
but
think
it's Gary
so.
Oldman.
But yeah,
See what I think
he's so eccentric in this movie.
What I think saved that though was the editing. It cuts right then. If they had held it, like let's say he was like, everyone, and the guy's like,
and they hold.
Okay. Yeah. But they don't do that. They cut. If they had edited it differently, I think it would have been awful. But the way they do it, it's like, no, this guy really just wants to fucking kill him. Yeah. Like he just wants to kill Léon at all costs. Bring me everyone and let's destroy this guy.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Yeah, I think I don't know. To me, that scene just
frustration.
That scene just ramps and ramps and ramps and just keeps going, like to the point where
and it ends with a bang.
That's true. But when Léon comes down the hallway and has the gun pointed at. When Léon comes down the hallway and has the gun pointed at the SWAT guy's face, like he turns around the corner to look and he's just there with the gun in his face. Yep. It's like, shit. Like that was...
Is he there?
Yep.
Yeah. He's got a gun pointing at my face and they're all like, oh, shit.
Well, they start to back away. I'm like, you bitches.
Yeah. You guys with your Kevlar and everything, you're like, oh, this guy's screwed.
Well, to their credit, he did just kill like 15 guys in the apartment down the hall. So
I did like how they bust out this huge RPG or something like that, and I'm like, what? Why? It's a door, and it goes literally right through the door.
Yep.
And I'm like, doesn't explode the door or anything, but it explodes the wall behind it.
Well, it went through a hole in the door.
And then Gary Oldman is like, what the hell? It's one guy. Don't bring down the whole building. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's.
I do have some sad news about the scene, about the everyone scene, though.
Oh, no. Go ahead, ruin it for me.
I gotta ruin it. So the guy that he yells that to, that actor, his name is Benny in the movie.
Yeah.
Apparently he later became a New York firefighter a couple years later. Okay. And he passed away during the September 11th
World
Trade Center.
Okay, so that actually, it's sad that happened. That actually brings this movie up a little bit for me.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, whenever you have a pre-2001 movie that's shot in New York, you got to have a shot of the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and we see that in this. Yeah.
But it was a different type of shot of the Twin Towers. Typically, you have like this nice
aerial
helicopter aerial shot or something like that.
Like where it's a focus.
It's like, this is New York. This is Manhattan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is cool. But it was a very subtle, right down the street, and you could see them in the background. I'm like, oh, there they are.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny about that scene you're talking about too, I think that's one of the scenes where they're traveling or moving from one apartment to the next. Back to the characters themselves real fast. I like those scenes where they have them walking up over the hill and it's Léon and Mathilda and the plant.
Mm-hmm.
They make this
and the plant's just flopping there.
But it's this family unit that they've built of misfits. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking plant. Like first off, but then
a guy, a 12-year-old, and a miserable plant.
Pretty much. Yeah. There's the honest. There's the honest trailers. It's not though. It's real.
It looks totally fake.
Well, when Mathilda is actually carrying it, I'm like, it looks like it's about to fall out. Yeah. Like, I don't understand how this can survive and look the way it does at its destination because it's literally trying to fall out.
They take really good care of it, okay?
I guess.
They massage its leaves.
Léon was giving it a massage and a bath. And
But he was impressed that Mathilda kept it alive when he was out, killing for revenge.
Going back to that shot of
that
you're talking about where they were walking down the street, that I actually really like that shot because it's on that hill, and you see it's right before we know that if he decides if he's going to take her on or not.
Yes.
And they cut to them walking up the street. Well, you only first see him, for a little bit, and you're like, oh, I guess he's just walking away from it, and then she comes into view over the hill too. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Now the only thing I don't like about that scene, and it's not really, I don't like it. It's just, it's comic relief.
Right.
And it, because like you just said, you found out, okay, he's going to keep her at least for the time being. And he's like, don't do that again. And she's like, okay. And he was like, we don't do that. We don't kill women and children. And she's like, okay. And he's like, and stop saying okay all the time. And she's like, okay. And he's
Okay.
like, okay.
So, well,
and then they turn and walk. It's a little bit of comic relief. I think it's also to give a little bit of like, okay, he's starting to become a person. Just the barest glimpse of like he's making jokes. He's a fucking assassin. We haven't seen him make a joke at all. And he's making this little joke in the middle of the street, So.
Oh, you know what? Going back to the SWAT team thing.
Yeah.
I just remembered about this. When
As
they
we leapfrog through this movie.
Yes.
Okay.
well,
Go ahead.
as we do, we're gonna drive through it like an Oldsmobile.
I guess Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldsmobile.
Now you got to find a picture of that. I'm sure it exists. That's the
Where he's
that's
like
the
the
little
hood.
picture. That's the picture.
That's
for
the
And
us
he's, and
for
he's
the
screaming
movie.
everyone in the front.
Everyone.
That's the horn.
That's
Yeah.
the horn. Okay. Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
guys.
So when they ask her, if they ask her Mathilda if there's a secret knock, you know,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
she does the knock or whatever.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's Morse code, apparently.
Well, the original one, the one that he says to do, I think, is Morse is the actual Morse code piece. The one she does, which is 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. That's also, I mean, I'm sure it's Morse code, but it's not. That's not their code they were using. The one they had her using was like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, which is something else. Yeah.
Well, the Morse code that she gives is die. Spells out DIE.
DIE.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I like that scene especially because you just heard him say, like, what, 2 minutes before, don't forget the knock.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they grab her and they're like, is there a special knock? And she's like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, fucking die.
Yeah.
I hate you all. You're gonna die. Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
And every time she goes to get milk. Okay, by the way, I think
Yes.
I'm turned off of milk for a while just because of this movie.
A lot of milk.
I don't
a lot of milk
understand.
in the movie.
Yeah, I don't understand the milk.
I don't think there's a point. It's
Well,
just quirky.
I liked it because
He's handicapped.
here's this tough guy that's killing everything. What'll it be? And he's like at a bar or something like that, and he's like, tall glass of milk.
Do you know what I
in
think
a dirty
it is?
glass.
Do you know what I think it is? Honestly,
Yeah, 'cause
In a
I'm
dirty
rough.
glass? I think it's the opposite. I think it's health. I think like when he was a kid, he was told, you want to be healthy, drink milk, because he's wearing that hat. The reason why he wears the hat,
I
right?
don't want to get sick.
I don't want to get
Catch
sick.
cold.
Yeah, like I think it's all about just health. I
might
don't think
be.
it's anything else.
Either that, or I thought he
Lot
had
of milk, though.
a
Lot of
major bad thing of ulcers.
But maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
shit,
it
you
could
could be
be.
stressed out, killing a lot of people. It changes you.
Yeah.
But have you noticed
Stomach
every
ulcers.
time something bad happened, it was when Mathilda goes and gets milk.
Not every time, but yeah, I'm with you.
Is there a time that she goes and gets milk and something bad doesn't happen?
They in the hotel there was like a scene with milk and stuff, and whenever they first get there, he's like, "Go get the milk," and she goes and gets it. I mean, hey, it was something like that.
Is he Fonzie now?
Fonzie.
So with them filming in
With
New
the
York,
thumbs. Yeah.
the filming in New York is very expensive. Okay.
Yes.
So the box or the actual budget for this, they have on IMDb, they have it in francs or francs.
Yeah.
I converted it. You're
Okay.
welcome. But in francs, it was 115 million. But in U.S. dollars, it was around 21.5 million.
Okay, that's
Okay.
more
US
reasonable.
dollars.
I'm like, no way.
no. This was about $21.5 million for the budget.
And this is 94 money.
Yes.
So $5 million went to Gary Oldsmobile. $2 million went to Natalie Portman.
Probably.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And it was held
yeah.
into held with that one strange dude until she was
What-
18.
Tony
What-
the mobster.
$1 million went to everybody else. The extras, all the extras got like $1 million.
I
They
got
to
your
split
$2
up.
million. Keep it with me. I'm like a bank, but better.
5 million goes to the guy that Gary Oldman yelled at for ear reconstruction.
Oh
No
my
shit,
God.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think it was a success? It made its money back, or was it a flop?
Oh, man, that's actually kind of hard. I mean, I think given time, yes, because it's become a cult kind of classic kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this movie was not necessarily on my radar. I've seen like scenes of it. I posted online just randomly, and I'm like, okay, this might be a cool movie, but it never was like I never knew what it was.
What did you say the budget was again?
About 21.5 million.
21.
I think Leon The Professional made its money back. I do not think The Professional made its
you don't
money
think
back.
the American cinema version?
Yeah, the international version. We did we watch the international version?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think the Americanized version made its money back.
Yeah, I hear you. I would say
Probably
that
a good call.
I think worldwide they probably made like 50 million, 60 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I mean, but I'm gonna guess that. Home here, I think they might have broken even, like 20 million broken even.
Yeah. So I only have I think it's the American one because they have the runtime is an hour 50.
Okay.
But gross worldwide, it was 19,000,005.
Oh, so just a little under there.
But so hold on. So so gross worldwide would be the American version because that's the American version. The international version, which was a 2 hour and 12 minute or 2 hour and 15 minute version, which isn't that number,
Yeah.
would have been the rest of the money.
Now the opening weekend in U.S. and Canada was November 20th, 1994. So this was a kind of a Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving or whatever.
Especially, I read too where they were actually released a 25th anniversary version of Léon the Professional.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure
the opening weekend was around 5.3 million.
Well, now I think I also read that the European version didn't come out until '96.
Okay, which is weird.
But I could be wrong. I could be mixing my dates or something in my head. But
I don't know.
So there's one more thing. A couple more things I wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about Jean Reno's acting much in this. I mean, I think it was pretty good. Right?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty great. There was somebody else who was considered before him, which kind of hard to believe being a Luc Besson movie, right?
Tom Cruise.
No,
Bruce Willis.
no.
Ben Affleck, because it's the same goddamn character as the accountant, minus the circumstances.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
No. You guys are
It's not professional.
Yeah.
You guys are bouncing all around it. No.
Okay.
Robert De Niro.
Ugh. No.
What?
No.
Could you imagine
No.
Leon?
So here's the problem.
Should I let
with
this
Robert
kid
De
live?
Niro?
Huh? Should I let him live?
Robert De Niro had.
You want to see my
I
cat?
want my money.
No.
Tony.
You want to see my plant? You want to see my plant?
I got a plant.
Nope.
I got a
You
plant,
and me?
Greg.
You and me?
That ain't happening.
Nah.
No.
I'm walking here.
Get
God, what a horrible movie that would
That would have been terrible.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think good casting call.
Oh,
By the
Yeah,
way,
for sure.
I don't know which one's worse. Whenever you said Robert De Niro, the first face that popped into my head was Robert Downey Jr., which would have been even worse than Robert
God.
De Niro in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. But
Vince Vaughn.
Ew.
Vince Vaughn in the '90s too was a weird looking dude.
Yeah.
He's a very strange looking guy. But yeah,
So the one more thing that I wanted to mention. So the ending, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We see Stansfield kill. Well, we don't see it, but we
know.
infer that Stansfield kills Leon. We see him die. He rolls over. He does the ring trick.
Yep.
You know that it's called.
yep.
And then he blows himself up and kills Stansfield in the progress.
Which I think is excellent.
Yeah. That wasn't the original script, ending to the script, where that happens and Natalie Portman goes to the orphanage and then, buries the fake plant.
Buries the hatchet.
Yeah. Basically, what does happen in the original script was Stansfield kills
Mathilda.
Leon in the same way, but he doesn't do the ring trick. But then Stansfield comes around the corner, and then Mathilda's waiting for him, and she does the ring trick to him.
And kills herself
And
too.
kills herself too.
Oh, wow.
That
She
would've
has
been-
all of the grenades on her and hands him the
Oof.
ring.
That would have been something else.
That would have been.
That would have been
harsh.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a little too harsh. I
A
know
little
what the
bit.
problem with that is with Luc Besson.
Yeah.
He doesn't like super dark endings.
That's exactly where I was going to go with this.
Yeah.
I have a quick little quip from him about why he changed it.
Yeah.
He basically said the ending was changed because he did not like the idea that Mathilda would transform from an innocent girl to crazed juvenile killer so quickly.
Yeah.
Because it took Leon years and years to get to that point.
Yeah, he's not real big
Right.
on super dark endings. I
Yeah.
mean, even I don't want to ruin the Big Blue for you because it is on my list eventually. Even that movie, even though it ends sad, doesn't end necessarily dark. You know what I'm saying? And he's just not big on super like depressing endings, like the most depressing shit you can possibly imagine. He's not that guy. Then Natalie Portman blowing herself up, age 12, to kill the guy who killed her family is pretty dark. Like,
Yeah.
And especially if you think about this, though, Stansfield didn't kill her brother.
You're right. The guy who
it was the reggae guy that actually kills the brother. Right. So she wouldn't even be killing
the guy who killed her brother.
Right.
Yeah.
She actually witnesses the revenge murder, if that's what you want to call it, of Léon when he goes to break her out, and the two henchmen are there. One of them is the reggae guy, and he kills the reggae guy. So that is actually the person who killed her brother. So
that guy does really good acting, by the way, in the bathroom. Whenever Oldman is being super creepy with Natalie Portman,
yeah,
in the
we didn't even talk
stalls,
about that scene.
That's another scene where I'm like, she does some good work because she's visibly freaked out.
Yeah,
and again, I think
sure.
her parents keeping her away from Oldman, and then Oldman acting the way he did, and now a confined space with just a cameraman and Oldman. It's a very creepy scene, and when he comes in, he is visibly afraid. Also, of Gary Oldman. I think he does a really good job of that because I mean, it'd be hard for me to be afraid of that guy just being who he is, but at the same time, he does a good acting job.
I don't know.
Of that.
Seems like a loose cannon.
A little bit in this movie, especially, but yeah.
So, talking about the critic stuff here, we got the Rotten Tomatoes score. The critics gave it a 74%.
Jesus.
And the audience gave it a 95%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a differing view on...
Very much so.
And I'm assuming that they watched the American version because it has a 1 hour 50 time slot here.
But Rotten Tomatoes doesn't differ on them, doesn't split them apart, does it? So like when you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you type in Léon, it comes up as just the professional. Right. So my guess is the critics are probably doing the professional and giving it a 74%, and then the audience score, because it's done afterwards especially, can do it for whatever fucking movie they want to. Because the critics go all the way back to 94 on that list, don't they? It's not just from like recent critics.
Right, yeah. It's a conglomeration from
years and years, whereas the rest of it would be from probably the last 10 years from when we started putting shit on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
Yeah,
because we didn't even know what Rotten Tomatoes were a decade ago. So,
right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, Eddie, since this was your film, you get the honor to give the screenwriter score.
Oh, I get to kick it off?
Léon the Professional.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and this is not going to be a popular opinion when it comes to this movie. I do not think that this movie is rooted in pedophilia the way that you three gentlemen may. Let's just say that. That being said, I do think the stuff with Mathilda is creepy and cringy. And I'm going to say the words, I like it, but I don't mean it. Let me clarify, because it's very hard.
We all know, Eddie. We all know.
It makes the film so much more dark and so much more... There's so much more emotion tied to that character because she is so severely scarred that she's trying to come on sexually to a grown man when she doesn't really understand what that means. That's so complex. And for that to be written in such a weird, subtle way while being... incredibly overt and yet subtle. It's just, I don't know. I just think it was well done. And I think it was an accident. I don't think Luc Besson did it as well as it comes across. I think it's Natalie Portman being who she is. I think it's Jean Reno being who he is. Gary Oldman's crazy ass being who he is. I think that a lot of this movie came together on accident, but I think that it's a very well put together movie, even though it wasn't all purposeful. Go ahead.
Well, there was a scene that was cut from the script. It was not filmed.
Oh, okay.
It was a scene where Mathilda gets out of the shower and she's brushing her hair naked in the bathroom. Yeah. And Léon accidentally walks in on her and then like covers her up with a towel.
Yeah.
So then they totally cut that out. Didn't want to film it.
That's good.
Anything like that.
Because that would have probably thrown it over the edge.
Well,
for some people.
I wouldn't want to see Natalie Portman naked, but I do think that scene would have helped to secure he's not into her sexually.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that would have been even more of a nail in the coffin of like, this is a pedophilia setup. It's not. It's her using her sexuality in an inexperienced way because she doesn't really have any yet. She's 12. You know what I mean? But anyway, beyond that, going beyond that weirdness, the cinematography I think in this movie is awesome. I just like the way it's done. Luc Besson to me is a very good director. I don't like all the movies he's done, but I do think he does a good job. And I really enjoy the way that these action scenes come up and go down in swells, and you build those swells. They don't just like snap, action scene, gone. You know, it's you build them up and they go down. They build up and go down. It's done in a way that it's both a drama movie and an action movie well. So for me, this movie is an 8.
Okay. So, Kyle.
Ooh.
So, Glad to be back in the studio, by the way.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I really, well, I thought it really sucked that I didn't actually get to say my own lines during Miracle, because I was driving at the time, and then Justin texted me and he was like, "Hey, give me some quick snippets of what you thought of Miracle, so I can read them on the show." And so I'm like, I'm at a rest area, and I'm like, okay, so quick snippets. The movie's great, blah blah blah. And then I listened to the show when I'm editing it, and he reads them verbatim. I was like, I thought he was going to fluff it a little bit, but whatever.
I'm not going to interpret.
You don't know Justin well, do you?
I guess not, because I don't know, but I was expecting. But I was just giving him some bullet points, and maybe you guys were going to elaborate out. But anyway, I digress. I'm glad I'm back. For Leon the Professional, yeah. So everything, like all the action scenes were great. The hit pieces were great. There was one scene that made me kind of laugh out loud. It was we didn't talk about it yet. It was the scene where it was the first time that she was up close and personal with one of the
one of the
jobs, and she got her own little pistol out, and it was a paintball pistol. But obviously you don't know these things until the shot is fired. And so she's like putting it together, and it's like this little lunchbox thing. She's putting it together, and she's aiming, and he was like, "All right." Or then she said, "A little bit to the left." And I laughed because, she's actually been taught, if the bullets go through this person, it's probably going to go through the window. And there was a building behind it. I'm like, that's pretty good. Okay. That's awesome. Congrats. And then she shoots him, and then it's just a paintball. I'm like, awesome. Okay, this is interesting, because I thought it was going to be like this.
Her first
kill. And I really thought throughout this movie that we were going to actually see her kill somebody, but we never do.
No.
Well, I think he maintains her innocence in that as long as possible.
Yeah.
Again, that fatherly aspect.
It could have. This movie could have gone one or two ways. In the way that it went was she kept her innocence and she went back to the boarding school, and then the other way would have been she was trained under him, and then she grew up to be the hitman as well.
Which is the plot to Leon 2.
Leon, you're not kidding, right?
I'm not kidding. There is a script out there.
Wow, where she grows up and she starts taking...
Yeah. Well, isn't it basically La Femme Nikita at that point?
Yes.
So, I mean, that movie's already been made.
Yeah. That's
true.
So it won't get made because of that, I think.
Point of No Return with Fonda, with what's her name? Yeah, it's already been made like 4 times. So what's the point of that? Lucy's the exact same. Anyway, I'm sorry.
But I mean, this...
Well, that's why Lucy exists, is because...
It's basically Leon too.
Luke couldn't get it made, so he put some of the ideas into that. But anyway, sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. But the overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. I probably won't watch it again. The action scenes were good. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of just to me, it was kind of run of the mill, in certain aspects, but and some were like over the top. I would say this was probably like a 7.2 for me.
Okay, a 7.2 for Kyle. John?
Well, I liked it. I like the cinematography. I like the colors. I like the filmmaking in general. Everything that we talked about today. I do agree with Eddy that the minus the cringeworthiness, the cringiness of the quote unquote love that Natalie Portman feels for Leon, despite the cringeworthiness, it brings a whole nother layer, multiple layers of depth to the story that otherwise would not. To me, without it, it's just a ho-hum movie.
I agree completely with you.
Yeah. And so I'm feeling a solid 8 on this one.
Okay, so John is an 8. Honestly, I'm right there with you guys. I like the cinematography. We talked about some of the shots and stuff. It was interesting. This is either the second or third time I've seen this over, since '94. And I remember watching it this time going, I don't remember all these weird sexual tension scenes between these two, and
Yeah.
and after I started looking into it, I was like, oh, that's why. I must have saw the American version.
Yeah, because they weren't there.
Because they weren't there. It's not a Mandela effect
Yeah.
or whatever. And obviously I don't think it's, like you said, I don't think it's there just for, just to be there. It's got a point and it's got a purpose. And I think you're absolutely right. It's there for a reason. So, the action scenes were awesome. I thought it's a fun movie to me, even though the whole plot is kind of rooted in sadness and revenge and all that stuff. But it's still, like, I laughed more than I thought I would. Gary Oldman is the shit in this.
Yeah, agreed.
I just love it when he plays totally off the wall, eccentric characters, and that draws me into movies. Gary Oldman. So I think I'm going to give this an 8 as well.
Gary Oldsmobile drives you into movies.
Oh wow,
Jesus.
Jesus.
Do you wish you had that?
No, I
Sound
haven't.
effect.
It's
Jesus Christ.
there we go.
I didn't say it. Justin did.
That was bad. The whole scene was terrible.
We were trying to ignore it. You brought it back.
Yeah.
So you get the sound effect.
The drive-through part was terrible. That's what threw me.
So, Leon, the professional, a.k.a. the professional, a.k.a. Leon.
It doesn't know what movie it is.
It gets a screenwrite score of 7.8.
Okay.
So, with that, we need to figure out what movie we are watching next. So,
Real fast, I got a quick thing. Danny Aiello is in this. He was also in Jacob's Ladder, which
You're
I
right.
chose.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was also in the animation movie we did,
Yes, The Congress.
The Congress. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
3?
3 movies he's been in.
Is that more than De Niro?
I think it's equals De Niro.
Okay.
But there was something else that we watched. I can't remember the other actor. I was going to ask you, what's the other actor that we've now, like, there's
Keanu Reeves, I think, was.
no,
But
no, because Keanu Reeves has only been in Bill and Ted, hasn't he? We didn't do any of the John Wicks or anything.
Not yet.
I don't know.
I can't think of anything else. But yeah, I'm just saying it.
We've done so many reviews now; it'd be hard to, or it'd be a lot of work to go back through and figure out
I
everybody.
might get froggy one day.
I was going to say, you see, it'd be a lot of work. AKA, I'm not doing it. I'm fucking lazy. Okay, go ahead, John.
Got so much other crap to do.
Yeah. So John, you're the next picker.
So, yeah, it is your turn next, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the last one.
I'm the last one for this one.
So we got to figure out what genre you're picking.
Right.
All right, here we go.
The Wheel of Genres.
War.
Okay.
That's the second time you've gotten war.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, you got Patton. You did Patton
that's
last
right,
season.
yeah.
I sure did.
Isn't that strange?
It is strange. Very strange.
It's almost like this shit's rigged.
It is almost rigged.
Stop saying that. People are going to think that it actually is. We literally spin a wheel that John's the only one in control of. And if it is rigged, it's with John, to be clear.
Okay, I'm going to pick 1917 from the year 2019.
So don't get confused.
Yeah, don't get
Yeah.
confused.
Don't look up 2019.
Yeah,
This
no,
is the one with Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
He plays a small,
Very
small
small
part.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he is in it.
he
Yeah.
is in it. Colin Firth is in it.
Okay.
Yep.
But yeah,
Benedict Cumberbuns.
yeah. The synopsis is April 6, 1917. As a regiment assembles to wage war deep in enemy territory, 2 soldiers are assigned to race against time and deliver a message that will stop 1,600 men from walking straight into a deadly trap.
Yeah, I remember watching this in theaters, and it was
Epic.
Yeah,
So
I saw it in theater.
I have not seen it.
Oh, you
Oh, wow.
haven't?
You haven't
not
seen
seen
it at
this
all.
movie,
I didn't
yeah.
watch it in the theater, but it was just as epic.
yeah.
Yeah, I have not
Yeah.
seen it. So this will be. I'm the only one on this show who hasn't seen this.
This
movie.
is odd.
no shit.
Is this how
This
you
is-
feel all the time?
Yep.
Yeah. Like
This is
I've
how I
seen this.
feel.
I've seen this 100,000 times.
This is how I
How
feel
in the
all
world
the
could
time.
you not see it?
Yep.
Sorry. That's-
It's okay.
My-
now you
my
understand that feeling of superiority you have. I constantly feel. There you go. Oh, you don't feel that way. I
no.
still feel it. Okay, go ahead, Justin.
Wow.
Well, with that,
Okay. As we roll to a close.
if you want to figure out where to...
On our Garrio's mobile.
Don't let me do it.
Jesus. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
There's another one.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's a bad one.
You know you guys love
man.
me.
Yeah, whatever.
I
Anyway.
feel superior to you. I don't know what you're talking
Let's wrap.
All right, so with that, If you want to watch along with the Screenwrite crew, just go to justwatch.com, look up 1917. It's the film from 2019. And check out everywhere that is streaming. It's a pretty popular movie, so it should be everywhere. And why don't you guys leave us a review if you're enjoying our content? Just go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, tell us if you like us, if you hate us, if you prefer Oldsmobiles to any other car. So, figured I'd bring it back.
I guess. I mean, right?
And that joke doesn't get a sound
No,
bite.
it definitely
It
does.
should.
No, that's okay. I'll pass.
Yep, so go to justwatch.com, look it up, catch it. We'll see you next Saturday.
Yep.
That's it.
See ya.